Traveling on expeditions is exciting because you find unexpected things and get surprised. They claim this church is so large, Notre Dame de Paris could fit inside. The head of St. John the Baptist, right? Attributed to St. John the Baptist. It's an operation that's almost like something out of a movie. When you enter, the room is filled with relics. It's impressive to see the skulls said to belong to the man who baptized Jesus. It's a church that has relics of St. Helena, and there was a lady praying there, but you can really feel the power of the moment there, right?
Do you think journalism is a risky profession?
I think so. And people walk by and start cursing at you and threatening you. One even said, "Be careful in this area here."
That's a death threat.
A threat, right?
Is free journalism over?
But I think most people don't really care about this.
A lot of people aren't even concerned about democracy. Is there more freedom of expression today with Trump or less than before? Someone very close to their family chooses to live abroad.
I've asked myself that question many times. I embraced the idea of pausing my career for a while to be a full-time father.
You became a more sensitive man. You really felt your father's death, didn't you?
A lot. Some of the strongest memories I have of him are connected to music.
I'll meet you there.
I'll see you.
You're leaving a path, amen? The episode is already starting, it's amazing, but before that I have an important message for you. We noticed that 81% of the people who watch M3 are not subscribed to the channel. It's a simple gesture for you, it doesn't cost anything, it's just pressing a button now, but for me it's very important, it makes all the difference. Here's my request. Subscribe to the channel and share this episode with someone who'll enjoy it. The episode is starting, but I have one more quick message for you. If you want to study with me, take all my courses, and even have live mentoring with me every month on Zoom, come join the Jornada Club. My guest today is a citizen of the world with the rare ability to move through topics as different as politics, sports, and religion without ever losing his elegance. He started his career in radio, where over 2 decades he covered major sporting events. 4 Olympics, 2 World Cups, and historic moments such as the live commentary of swimmer Cesar's world record. Cielo took part in major international coverages, including the most recent presidential election in the United States. And at the end of 2023, he became the host of the show Expeditions to the Sacred on television Aparecida. He is married to an American woman, father of twins, living between the family peace of his home in New Jersey and the constant hustle of New York.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the invitation, for the welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here.
You came from New York and went to visit your mother first, right?
That's right. The first stop was a quick visit to my mother and my brothers too. And then I spent a little time with the family. Now I'm here in my São Paulo, right? I live in New York, but São Paulo is where I was born and raised. Yes.
You came from New York to visit your sick mother, right?
She's sick. She has Alzheimer's disease. It's been a while since we got the diagnosis, right? My siblings and I. It was a little after my father passed away too, so for us, emotionally, it was a lot to deal with.
You lost your father. How old are you?
It's going to be 4 years now. And right after that, we realized that my mother too, right? There wasn't that. She was in poor health. So it's a big challenge to live far away with this, right? Because my siblings are amazing and do a lot.
You have a brother and a sister?
A brother and a sister who are here, closer to her, right? And they take care of her more closely, and I do what I can.
But it hurts being so far away, right?
It hurts.
Since your mom isn't very aware today?
So I have a clear conscience about my choices, about how my family ended up being built in the United States, you know? So like this, it's not a guilty conscience, no,
But it's a pain.
of a son of...
I used the word consciousness. Did you understand something else? I asked if your mother is not conscious.
No, actually, I hadn't thought about that connection.
I think it was a slip. No.
But for me, the desire is to do more.
So,
I know that about 2 years ago, I even thought about it. I said, how can I be closer? How can I help? And then what do I do every time I can? I thank my amazing brothers and come here. And that's also what happened. The contact during this period, I've been out of Brazil for years. I was very lucky. Many children didn't have that over decades and decades, being able to see, I could see my parents on my phone easily, right? Just a tap of a button. And in the last few months, she doesn't even have a phone anymore because she doesn't have a phone.
no, because she doesn't know how to use it. She can't use it.
She can't communicate anymore.
Say your mother's name so she stays silent.
She doesn't speak. She doesn't walk anymore.
And when I met your mother 3 years ago, maybe she was still normal.
Yes, she came to visit us there in Florida, where we lived, and stayed with us for 2 months. She was fine, so it really happened just recently.
She used to smile a lot.
She smiled a lot, a very cheerful person. The sweetness was always there with her. That's one of the beautiful things you can take from all of this that's so hard, right? It's like this, you give her a kiss on the cheek and get closer, you get a kiss back. So even today, one of the last things she's able to express is love. So I think that says a lot about her, you know?
That says a lot about you too, that you're a person very connected to your family, not just your mother, but your father too, and that you miss him a lot. It's true, Mr. Jamil.
Mr. Jamil, exactly.
And about your children now, how does someone so connected to family choose to live in another country?
I've asked myself that question many times. It's even been a topic in therapy, you know? I think that, well, since my wife is American, like you said, I met her in Sao Paulo. So we already had a 2-year relationship, and she was called by the company she still works for. Actually, to go back to the United States, it's a bank to go back to the United States. And there we sat down, right? One of those moments in life that you'll always remember, right? We sat down and she said to me, so what do you want to do?
She said this in American Portuguese.
You know, she speaks with an accent, right? We speak to each other in English, so the accent is mine. I said, I want to be with you. I think for me, that's actually where the family spirit comes from.
It was the other way around.
To stay with the family you built, seeing that I was going to build my own family there. I didn't have children until then.
But I was already married.
We were very close to that, right, in our relationship. And then, so when we moved to New York, the first thing we did was get married, and then the following year have kids.
Got married?
Well, we got married at New York City Hall. It's one of those movie weddings, you know, where you walk in and there are a bunch of couples in line. It's almost like a drive-through wedding. You just go through. Folks at home, keep watching now. But it was a lot of fun. Afterwards, we celebrated with my parents, my brother, my godmother, and part of her family too. It was a very small wedding, but it was really nice.
Her family is Catholic?
Her family is Christian, but when she was growing up, they went to a Baptist church. It's more evangelical Protestant in the American style. Actually, most Americans follow this kind of denomination, but not Catholicism, not Catholic. She got closer because of me, because of my family history, and she's a godmother to one of my nephews along with me. So she ended up understanding a few more details, some things that are part of the lives of many Brazilians. Today, you can't say most since there are already many.
But religion was never an issue for you two.
Never was, quite the opposite.
This small difference, let's put it that way.
No, it never was. Like I said, I think I saw much more curiosity from her to know how I had grown up, how things had happened. And then at certain moments in life, we get opportunities, right? My father's Seventh-day Mass was where I had my first communion and catechism. So I showed her, I said, look, the classes were up there. We used to come here, and I was with my friends.
It wasn't during the Mass, just in the same place.
In the same place, right? São Dimas Church in São Paulo. So these things help me tell her about it, you know? What it was like growing up in a family of Italian and Lebanese immigrants and Portuguese and Catholic, even though my name isn't any of those, right?
That's my point. From what I understand, you have a family connection with St. Patrick.
Yeah.
I really do.
We don't know because it's so far away, right?
Isn't your last name Patrick?
It's basic research about the origin of the last name. You'll say it has something to do with the saint. The most likely thing we imagine from reading and studying is that some family, my family, fleeing from somewhere or having to adopt another name, might have adopted a saint's name. As happened at various other times here in Brazil, we have a lot of people, right, with names like Dos Reis, Dos Santos, De Jesus, or in the Iberian Peninsula, those who use tree names, right? Silveira, Pereira, and others. So
But that would mean your family was Jewish before.
I don't know exactly what it was. I don't have a DNA test, which I also can't say how much.
You need to do to know if the saint is your great-great-grandfather.
I did one. I have a percentage of British ancestry in this DNA test.
Which explains
The name from Scotland and Ireland, right? So that explains a bit about the origin of the last name. But, you know, the details are very distant and have already been lost over time.
you owe a story on expeditions to the sacred about St. Patrick.
About St. Patrick, exactly.
I briefly discussed St. Patrick's Cathedral in Navarra,
I walk behind St. Patrick's Church nearly every day.
but I want you to tell the story of the saint.
My way to work then. And you know there's more than one there because there's the original one, which was in the southern part of Manhattan. Today that's Little Italy, right? The neighborhood that belonged to the Italians, which is where the city of New York started to grow. This new St. Patrick, the one tourists know in New York with the big cathedral, when was it built? Some mocked it as being in the middle of nowhere, because it is.
It was in the woods.
It was deep in the woods, surrounded by farms and ranches. And today, if you look around and try to imagine, that's really hard. Because it's surrounded by big buildings now, it's right in front of Rockefeller Center, which is a New York landmark, you know?
Now, there's a bit of confusion here that needs to be explained. The saint is Scottish, but the people who built this church in New York, Patrick, were Irish.
It's because his story is about being enslaved in Ireland, being taken to Ireland as a slave, managing to escape, and then returning to Ireland to bring. And then he has visions. He has conversations with God, right? In the story he told, in the text he left behind. He's a saint from the 5th century, 4th century, also from a long time ago, right? And in these conversations, he supposedly received this mission to, against all advice, return to the place where he had been enslaved, where he had been tortured, to bring the message. And that's how he succeeded. So much so that Ireland is one of the countries with the strongest Catholicism, and St. Patrick is very popular and beloved there. And when the Irish went in large numbers to New York and to Boston too, right? This saint ended up in Chicago as well. So you visit these cities on March 17th, the celebration day? They all have big celebrations, right? Because of this strong Irish heritage in these.
There's beer at this celebration, right?
There's beer too.
The Irish fill the house, right?
They have a taste for beer. When it's time to celebrate, some people take the whole day just for that. I worked on the last St. Patrick's Day, but during my lunch break, I'm relatively close to Fifth Avenue, where the parade goes by. I went there,
Had a beer?
reviewed it after work.
He was also wearing green, dressed in green.
He was wearing a tie. The tie had clovers on it, right?
Green is easy for you since you're a Palmeiras fan.
I'm a Palmeiras fan, so all is well.
Everything's good.
There's no problem at all.
It'll be better if you bring the microphone closer, okay? It's your age. I mean, actually, it's not your age. Accepting your wife's invitation to go to the United States also impacted your career. You were building a great sports career as a reporter at band, right? At Radio Bandeirantes and other band stations. You moved around a bit, correct? Your main career was at Radio Bandeirantes.
Yes, it was. From the first to the last day, I was involved with the radio, at other times with others.
And I know you used to get stopped on the street. Everybody knew you, right? The radio guy, your voice was very well known. That's right. So you built a career in sports that was in a way interrupted or took a turn when you went to the United States. Yeah, let's go back. So how did you get into that sports career back then?
Sure. Well, my passion for sports has to do with my passion for Palmeiras. I think it starts there, right? My father, my grandfather being with the team, so I can't even tell you when was the first time, you know? I already had a Palmeiras jersey in my drawer. I was already watching games with them on television. It just felt natural.
Next time, just tell production Green Cup when Patrick arrives.
But it's okay, the face looks good and me. In 1984, I saw something from the Los Angeles Olympics on television. I was maybe 6 or 7 years old, and that really affected me. I don't think I fully understood what it was, but like the Olympics is a beautiful thing, right? The Olympic flame, those athletes, Joaquim Cruz.
That Olympics was in 1984?
In Los Angeles, when Joaquim Cruz won gold, I got excited about swimming and wanted to join in.
How old were you?
I must have been about 6 or 7 years old, and then I was already waiting for the next one, right?
You would have been 10 or 11, so you weren't old enough to be a reporter.
But I remember getting the calendar. And it was an Olympics that actually was in South Korea, and a lot of things happened at dawn, so I would wake up early, the Seoul Olympics, right? Exactly. I would wake up early, which wasn't something I did all the time, but because of the Olympics, I would wake up early to watch some things, to watch some competitions, to watch some. So I already had a strong motivation there. And then when I was getting closer to deciding what I was going to do with my life, right? With my career and everything, is that clear?
What age are you talking about?
16, 17 years old. I knew I wanted to do something with writing. That was already something very natural for me, writing, expressing myself that way. But I had thought about becoming a lawyer. That was also something that was in my plans. And I started college in international relations. Things make sense in the end, especially when you reflect on international relations after many years. After 6 months, I stopped and decided I wanted to be a sports journalist. What I was doing was cool, but it wouldn't take me where I wanted.
You changed your major.
I stopped, switched my major, and began studying journalism to work in sports. It was my clear goal and what I wanted. And then, in my second year, I started working at Radio Bandeirantes, and
Still in college?
it was really encouraged at the time, you know? You were supposed to try to get an internship to almost complement what college could offer you. And I took advantage of an opportunity and started working at Radio Bandeirantes. It wasn't sports right away, because when you start, you can't really choose, right? So I was an intern there, whatever they needed me to do, I would do it. So I did a lot of work.
The biggest hassle for an intern?
The hassle was covering the highways. During a carnival, for those who know the coast of São Paulo, the Mogi Bertioga Highway, before a major construction project there, used to get stuck on big holidays like this, and it completely jammed. I was the youngest reporter covering that event, and I ended up staying on that highway, which was the worst of all, so I ended up getting a lot of attention. I stayed up all night reporting without sleep, and my phone battery died.
Because everyone was stuck on the road?
Everyone was stuck on the road. I tried hitching a ride to see how far the traffic went, but the car broke down, so we pushed it. I kept calling back using borrowed phones and payphones whenever possible.
There was a payphone?
There was still a payphone at the station, right? I spent almost 24 hours at the police station. I became friends with all the police officers there. Today, I don't anymore. For a long time, I used to remember their names. It's been a long time now, and now I forget a lot. Mosquito, it was hard. I don't even remember how I ate. You're so involved with that. You see that there are a lot of people in that bad situation and you want to help, right? There's something really cool about radio, which is providing a service, right? Which is helping people. Are you sitting in the car? Back then, there was no global positioning system navigation, none of that, right? For people to know what was the best route, so we provided that information and helped a lot of people with it. So I think that was, from the beginning of my career, one of the most difficult and also most rewarding experiences.
An opportunity, exactly.
And then
How was the jump?
there, I always told everyone that I wanted to go into sports, right? I think it's something everyone should do in life, in any situation, right? If you want something, if you don't let people know,
You won't get it. Which player said, whoever moves gets the ball, whoever asks has preference?
the person needs it. I think that's it, because Dada is a great phrase maker. If I don't tell people, they won't know. So everything related to sports or anything I could help with, I was there. I remember a show that sparked the international soccer boom in Brazil as television stations fueled and expanded the interest.
What year is this about?
We're at 98 or 99. And then there was a show that started talking about soccer in these other places around the world, right? Which today is a big reality here in Brazil and in other places around the world too. I noticed no one discussed Argentine soccer, so I decided to offer it since I liked it. The sports chief at the time liked the idea, said I could do it, record it, so I did the test, right? I recorded the first minute and a half. That was the time we had for it. You must have gone through this many times too, right? You have 1 minute to get your message across, right? So I did it there.
It was live or not recorded?
It wasn't recorded.
What did you do? A report on Argentine soccer?
About what was happening, so there was some research. Many times, if there was a chance, you would call a radio station over there.
What time it was on?
This happened Saturday afternoon. My family loved it, but few people watched.
Low audience time slot?
It was kind of like a warm-up for the round, but it was cool. And then what? And later I ended up hosting this show, which was a really great thing for me. Sports, international news, and...
You already had this voice. It wasn't higher pitched before, right? No.
I did. I had to do speech therapy. My lower jaw was a bit protruded, so I did it. As an adult, I had braces and weekly speech therapy, sometimes seeing the therapist more than once a week, but...
Did you do anything to reduce your jaw size?
It's to adjust, surgery, balance a surgery.
Cut the bone?
There are still screws here to this day, wow, and it got much better.
Because it was like your voice?
I think it was a little less projected like this, a little less natural. I don't know.
It was ugly?
I think it was maybe, but
Sergio Patrick had an ugly voice.
It wasn't something that bothered me. I think I could go on with my life and do my things. The content combined with the right.
But the guy who wanted to sing and be on the radio whose voice wasn't?
It got better, it got better. It was a period, an effort. My family, my parents helped me a lot, right? Because they paid for a good part of this treatment. They embraced this effort of mine. They knew it would help me professionally, and it did.
How long did this treatment last?
I think it was around 3 years. When was that? College ended, and I started my career at the radio station.
As an intern, you still had your old voice back then?
I still have recordings of my old voice. Yeah.
Yeah, so we can listen to them.
I must have something, but you'll need a recorder, a tape player. It's on tape, yeah.
And then you'll take it with you to the grave.
I have a little museum, right? A shoebox, which is my little museum. I have, I think, my first recorder with a radio station sticker. I have some tapes of things that were significant at that beginning. Yes, I do. I believe my first time on air in March 1997 still exists. The recording is still somewhere, maybe in my house, my sister's, or my brother's, I'm not sure.
Is it any of these here that looks like the one you mentioned?
That's it, that's right, that's it, yeah, that's working from home, when it was a privilege that the equipment provided, that's it. More recently, there's this photo. It must be about 12 years old or so.
12 years means Brazil, so not yet.
This is New York?
The beginning of your move, right?
I did. When I moved there, I hosted shows in my living room. With the equipment was already very good, and the internet was also very good.
Speaking for Radio Bandeirantes in Brazil?
I used to host shows on Radio Bandeirantes and Bradesco Sports Frequency Modulation, both part of the Bandeirantes group. You can tell I'm happy, right? What's that? Reported there.
I look good there. I don't know if it's because of the show or because your wife was by your side, you liked her and smiled at her.
That might be it. I think it's both.
And this one?
That's a special topping. My kids were about to be born and I covered it. The baseball finals in the United States, it wasn't something I followed every day. My father-in-law helped me a lot. He would call me in the middle of the game to explain what was happening. He got very involved and was happy I had this chance. It was the first time a Brazilian played in the United States World Series baseball finals, and Paulo Orlando won. That's what motivated the coverage, and it was really cool because I was already emotional and excited to become a father. And that coverage was there in New York, and it was really special too because I was doing something a bit outside my area.
You began in sports.
Ah, that was one of the things. So here it is. There was a motivation because I was Brazilian and all that. If it were just the baseball final, there wouldn't be any interest. I wouldn't do it, no.
But your career outside Brazil didn't focus on sports?
No, not even at the beginning. It was natural for me to host some sports shows because the recognition of my career, of my name, was still connected to sports. But I was there to discuss it all, right? So it was about whatever was most important happening and a lot about New York City too, almost like the future of big cities, right? New York as a trendsetter,
But you started talking about behavior, about social issues. You were very connected.
I tried to keep up with everything in New York.
And still working for Bandeirantes, that kept you connected to the radio.
I later worked for band news frequency modulation and Radio Bandeirantes, playing the role of correspondent there sometimes, depending on the need. I also did television for Grupo Bandeirantes, so it was a correspondent job. Whatever was happening there was on my agenda.
I ended up jumping ahead a bit in time with these photos, but a lot of interesting things happened before that. You covered 4 Olympics.
I covered 4 Olympics.
It's tough, isn't it? Being picked for the Olympics 4 times is almost like being on the national team.
That's kind of what it feels like. We typically have longer careers than players. Competing in 4 World Cups is extremely difficult, nearly impossible.
There might be 1 or 2 who have played.
Yeah, and for 4 Olympics, you can sometimes even do more. There are some who managed it, like Alvaro Jose, who is a big reference in that. Which Olympic sport, right?
Oh, are you acting as a reporter?
Yeah, exactly, that's it.
I thought you were an athlete.
A journalist who, if I'm not mistaken, has already covered 11, right? And he was a reference. I actually met him at my first one, and he told me he already followed my work. Those are the cool moments you get in your career, right?
Recognition?
You can't even imagine that someone you admire so much would know who you are, would follow your work and all that. So it was really cool.
Your idol when you started?
My idol was a journalist. Yeah, I like that. It's really, really interesting about João Almir Betting, who's the father of a great friend of mine. Mauro began as a sports journalist before switching to economics, spending years at Band and Globo. I never wanted to cover economics, but I thought his way of communicating was wonderful.
A reporter or radio host's greatest quality is their communication skills.
Yes, I think so.
More than what he says.
I think it's a little above that. Of course, it's no use just communicating well if you don't have the content, if you don't have it. So obviously, the more you can have both of them together.
Being annoying, even with good content, won't work. Yeah.
That's the impression. And sometimes with content that might not be the most impressive thing in the world. And let's be honest, you have an amazing career as a journalist. Not every day you have a big story.
Usually you don't.
Usually you don't. So, learning how to tell good stories and communicate well, even when you don't have great stories, makes your everyday life much better. So, I think I remember when I was in college, I started to study more, to understand more about what I would need, the tools and everything else. It became very clear to me then. So I said, this is a professional for...
But there were others. Sorry, you were going to talk about him.
Weren't you? He talked about something very complicated for me, right? Finance and the financial market, especially the Brazilian economy.
Documentarian for Jornal Nacional. Isso?
We lived through the 80s. The Brazilian economy was wild, right? The early 90s were focused on economic stabilization, like in 94 with the real. How do you explain that? It was part of daily life. Going to the supermarket wasn't about wanting to invest in the stock market or learn about it. You needed a reason to go.
To be able to make it to the end of the month, right?
To get by, right? Basic stuff during the hyperinflation era. So I found that admirable, you know.
But there were others you liked too.
There were also sports ones. Luciano Duval was an amazing commentator, right? Milton Neves as a host. I also followed him for a long time. He was from Jovem Pan Radio at the time. I thought he was amazing.
Do you like or dislike Galvão Bueno?
I like him. I like Galvão.
Many people criticize him, right?
I think if you pick up the microphone just once to do a broadcast, you'll be much more understanding. when it comes to criticizing a lot of these professionals because, doing this so many times and for so many years, right? It's not easy, but he still does it very well today. A great professional with truly incredible moments. And when you're exposed like that, it's natural there will be people who go too far or will. Or sometimes you get tired of being exposed so much, right? And I think in some way, Galvão ended up going through that, but he's amazing too.
When did you realize you were good at your work?
Good question, huh? When I realized I was good, I think I always believed I could do something cool. But there are times when you sit down for the radio show, you do the whole show, and it just flows. And when the light goes off, you get up, go home, and it feels good. And I think the big one, the event that changed my life, my perception of my work in that sense, was the Athens Olympics in 2004. That's when I left.
When Vanderlei took third in that big moment, right?
Exactly in that marathon, that Olympics. I was becoming the sports chief at the radio station. I was a presenter there. That's how I felt. It's a dangerous thing to think you're in control of things, but I was really in charge of what I needed to do, right? I knew all the athletes, the history of Brazilian Olympic sports where I was, and the history of the Olympics. Ancient times, I was really happy to be able to tell all of this every day on the radio, talking for hours and hours. That was really cool. I narrated some events, which was new for me, so just a few.
That was at this Olympics, but didn't Cesar Cielo set his record later?
It was a few years later.
It was 2008.
It was actually in 2009 at the Olympics.
Not at the Olympics.
It was at the Brazil Swimming Trophy at Pinheiros. In 2009, it was the last year of swimming with those suits. I don't know if you remember that swimmers wore almost like a surfer's suit, and those suits helped with buoyancy, and also the swimmers would glide better, right? Because there was less friction with those suits than with human skin, even with swimmers shaving and everything else. And then several records were broken with those suits for a few years in 19-something. The International Federation decided that, hey, that's going to end. Next year, they'll compete again, probably just in swim trunks.
It lasted a while, but it didn't last long.
And then Cielo knew that he was doing really well. He was the Olympic champion in 2008. He was the world champion in 2009. And he said, I'm going to try to break the world record in the 50, which is the fastest event in swimming. And it was his best event at the Brazil Trophy. Looking back, it seems he planned everything. He said, this will be one of the last races with these suits, so if I break the record, it could last 20 years.
Oh, I see.
And that's really what happened.
And even today,
If I'm not mistaken, yes, I'm not that up to date with those results, but yeah. So I was close with the Pinheiros people then because of my coverage, and they kindly put me by the pool. I was standing on the stone right by the edge of the pool. If I took one more step, the water would splash on me. And it was in the morning, which is prime time for radio. They realized there was something very special going on. Usually sports weren't talked about much at that time, but they gave me more space. And I did the commentary. That race lasts about 20 seconds, right? I called the race, he won.
do you remember what you called the victory? No.
No, I don't remember. These things just come out in the moment, right? Yeah, there are some things, that I'm sure I did, like the things you say, right? Cesar Cielo, world record and all that, those things won't be missing. Raising the tone and keeping it high, sure, but it comes, passes, and moves through you, right? You don't really plan much, at least I hadn't planned anything. And then he comes out of the water. I had already gone around the pool and interviewed him, so I was just, I don't know, about 15 minutes live during prime time on the radio, and a world record by a Brazilian at that time. It was really cool. It was one of the coolest moments, being so close to something so important happening, so it was worth it, really worth it.
You stayed. How long were you in sports? Over 20 years.
17 years spent solely in sports.
Then you continued for a while and went to the United States.
Just a little bit. I did, like I said, a bit of everything, including sports, but I was covering elections, I was covering other things, right?
And then how was that? Was it a shock, that change?
No, I think I was maturing into it, little by little. I already had a lot of management work within the Bandeirantes group, right? So I split my time between being a host and head of sports and coordinating teams. All of that was really cool too, because you end up listening to new people, bringing them onto the team, right? Kind of discovering, like they say in soccer, right? Discovering some talents. It was something enjoyable to do. I loved doing it. And at the same time, I was already interested in other things, in other topics that weren't just sports. As much as I am like that, I still love it, right? But it was something that I had no doubt about. I did it. I built my career for this. I was wanting other things. I was kind of feeling like I was repeating myself a bit at times, so I was. That was already kind of maturing in my mind. But it's hard to accept when you're in a good position, when you have recognition, to say, no, I'm going to leave this, which is really good.
I'm going to give up fame.
I'm even getting a salary, exactly. I'm being recognized and all, and I'm going, it's hard to do that. So I was there. I was already somewhat restless with this desire. So when I went to the United States, that ended up being kind of forced, and then I naturally made the transition. Last year, for example, I ended up spending 99% of my time talking about politics and economics, and only 1% talking about sports. The change happened gradually and eventually solidified. And I was probably feeling more comfortable talking about the American election than talking about American sports. At that moment,
Because you had disconnected yourself, right?
I was much more interested and involved with all of that.
Before we left the sport, was there ever a moment when you were criticized because the fans can be really harsh, right? There is.
Yes, there was. I even had some risky moments covering things like that. I just remembered going to a Palmeiras game with my kids and wife. I said it was right here in front of the stadium when Palmeiras won the Libertadores. The first time I came, I couldn't enter because there was trouble. Thousands of fans without tickets tried to get in. The police held them back. It turned into a battle, beer bottles flying near my head. So,
Things like that and direct attacks.
I've had fans come at me a few times. You're there covering the event, they see you with a microphone, point their finger at you, and suddenly their anger is directed at you. And that's it. I was saved a few times by security. The police officers who were nearby and knew about the work we were doing would naturally come over to protect us. But you really had to be worried that something might happen.
I was never assaulted.
Not assaulted, but I did get hit by stones. Ah, that's assault, right? It happened at Villa Belmiro, didn't it? How was it? I was right behind the goal, really close, at both Villa Belmiro and Caninde stadiums. Caninde belongs to Portuguesa from São Paulo and Villa Belmiro to Santos. I was behind the goal and we were really close back then. I don't know how reporters are covering it now, but we used to stay behind the advertising boards. There were just 3 steps, a wall and the fans, right? So it was nothing if a rock was thrown.
Where did it hit?
It was really big. One hit my back, one hit my head, but it didn't break the skin or anything.
Was the rock for you or the goalkeeper? Not sure.
I don't know, because in that moment you just protect yourself, right? I didn't ask what the guy wanted. I don't even know if the fan who throws things sticks around to argue afterward, right? But they're letting off steam there. It's a very emotional thing, and some people go overboard. Today I think about the things that happened like that. There are risks you accept because you're in your early 20s, you're excited about your career, you don't need to, right? It could be calmer, but that's part of journalism. Unfortunately, we have to be there. When you choose sports, you expect something more. It talks more about joys than difficulties, right, compared to so many other journalists. But you have to be ready. You have to be closer to the facts, and many times that will put you in some risky situations. It's part of the job.
After so much time as a journalist, reporter, anchor, do you think journalism is a risky profession?
I really think so, and we're seeing it, right? I myself was recently in the United States. I was insulted, I was threatened, you could say that, right? Because I had a microphone from a network, which was cable news network.
Trump's governors.
It's because the logo is the same, and that's it. You don't even have time to explain you're there. When you're positioned to go on air, you don't stay. You're looking at the camera, you're thinking about your information. And the person walks by and starts cursing at you and starts threatening you. And even
It was a group of supporters,
there were other moments like that.
supporters of Trump,
For the 3 times?
angry with cable news network.
Exactly. One even said, be careful in this area.
That's too threatening.
It's a threat, right? Is it? First, I spoke with station management and said I'd handle it. It's called a lapel microphone, the small one you clip to your shirt.
That doesn't have the brand?
It's because the station already has the brand. It already had the brand on the screen and everything. I said I can give the information, be in a more interesting place. I don't need to stay hidden, right? In a place where nothing is happening, but at the same time, people don't have it. That's something that draws attention, right?
Then there were other times.
No, kind of like this.
Was it once or several times?
Just a few times during the election cycle of this last election. The last one is the most recent. It's the first. It was that threat, then it's people passing by cursing. And at least 3 times this happened in these, 3-4 months there in 2024. Then, when I started using the more discreet microphone, right? Then you can relax, nothing really happens. Sometimes someone complains just because that's how things are today, just because of the media. Then someone complains, but nothing else.
That's what I was going to ask. People who criticize cable news network in the United States and Brazilian broadcasters in Brazil often claim the media is fake, lies, and dishonest. Did you ever feel inside cable news network that someone ever said, look, go this way, criticize that candidate? Does that happen?
No, absolutely nothing. We did the coverage too. I never needed to, I never wanted to do anything that wasn't as natural and open as possible to this side said this side said that. And obviously there are some explanations that, if you ask me, what do you think? And what I heard, for example, from this guy who threatened me, he started saying that cable news network is communist news network, a communist broadcaster. I mean, it's a perception that it's one against the other, that everything is done entirely based on interests.
It's a big conspiracy.
Sometimes you have time to stop and say, I'm just doing my job here, right? And what about your job?
For him, it's an offense.
You sometimes disarm people depending on their approach, right? But with this guy, I asked if he was threatening me and said I'd call the police. He left in his pickup truck before I could get a photo of the license plate. But I didn't do any more reports at that place because I didn't want to be exposed to that person. Who knows? You never know. And like I said, at some points, we're not paying attention to our surroundings, right, guys? You're really focused on the camera, so you can't do it alone, right? The correspondent is often alone. Nowadays, with the equipment and everything, we don't go out with a team, right? We're alone, so...
And there's no one to watch your back, right?
Exactly. You're not unnecessary. You take certain risks, so you start to realize that you can reduce those risks or avoid certain situations, and you go with that.
It's tough for journalists nowadays, isn't it? You're seeing journalists being killed by the Israeli army in Gaza, including some cases where the army has even admitted that it actually targeted journalists. I was targeted by an Israeli army bomb in the 2014 war. I'm sure it was meant for me. A gas bomb fell on me and on my team there as well. I've also been targeted by Hamas. I'm not trying to make this about politics or talk about politics. I just want to show how hard it is to be a journalist today. In the United States, Trump decides who is allowed at the White House and who can travel with him. Based on his preferences, free journalism has ended.
I think we're facing the most serious crisis of our lives for sure, and possibly even more than that, right? Especially because it's difficult. Can we make an analogy with climate change? It's hard to explain to people and for them to really feel the impact of it, right? To talk about it. Look, if you don't have free, independent journalism that talks about the bad things the government is doing, that exposes the problems, it's worse for your life. It seems like something very distant, from people's daily lives, right? Oh, the planet is warming up a little. People say, oh, I'll just turn on the fan a bit more, put on the air conditioner, and I'll manage. I get the feeling that, so what kind of support exists today? What is the support?
American government.
From the American government, National Public Radio.
National Public Radio, right?
Is it? It's a radio service that I think is very good as a journalist. Since I'm an American citizen, but I'm a resident, I have a green card, right? My status, I think it's strong journalism, though Trump saw it as biased.
Tendentious.
Tendentious against him, and his attitude is to cancel, crush, cancel.
He canceled Voice of America too, right?
It's exactly another service. This one was more for abroad, if I'm not mistaken, the American service for abroad, National Public Radio. Wherever I lived in the United States, I listened to the local public radio station. For me, it was a very good job. Now they're asking for donations, just trying to survive. There are some local stations that simply won't make it. They're going to shut down, and I think that's a big concern. Local journalism is also losing a lot of strength because it was already struggling even before any moves by the American government or any restrictions from Trump on access to events. And what's more, there was already a trend of big groups buying up small media outlets in smaller cities and putting an end to stronger local journalism. That was already easing pressure on politics and corrupt city politicians. That was already a problem in the United States, just like I think we experience here in Brazil too, so now it's just expanding to the national level as well.
How is it? Are you seeing the answer? And what about the survival of the big television networks? National Broadcasting Company, Columbia Broadcasting System, American Broadcasting Company. They are managing to survive all these changes, both political and technological, with the internet and artificial intelligence. Do you think television will end?
It's a great problem for them to solve, for those executives to solve. So much so that there are already even shows, fictional series, showing this difficulty.
Can you give us a hint?
Morning Show from Apple. I think it showed them trying to launch a streaming service, changing the morning host, doing things, because the audience is starting to develop different habits. That's already established. People are following in different ways, so it's really tough for these networks. Recently, we saw Columbia Broadcasting System giving into pressure from Trump, ending a very traditional late-night show.
I wanted to ask about Stephen Colbert.
Stephen Colbert, exactly. And a few days later, announcing a merger with another giant media group that they were interested in receiving.
A merger that had to be approved by the government.
So, like, you realize that, and the...
Colbert was denouncing this.
Exactly. Somehow, I think these networks will end up, as they always have, accepting, embracing, and giving in to everything they can and need to keep making a lot of money, getting a lot of viewers. But it's getting harder since the audience is more spread out. I don't think they'll regain the strength they once had. They'll have to somehow reinvent themselves and create other products so that by adding up these niches, they can still stay relevant.
Trump's supporters usually say that they are defending, among other things, freedom of speech. But what we've seen is Trump attacking freedom of speech, as we saw, for example, with the cancellation of Colbert's show, which was something he requested. I wanted to hear from you, who lives in the United States and works as a journalist in the United States. Is there more or less freedom of speech today with Trump?
I think less. What do you think?
Are you sure?
It's not perception?
It's perception?
Perception. Because I think that as much as the cancellations, which were often criticized by Trump, who calls it woke culture, right? This thing about picking on people too much for things like gender issues and so many others, right? And race and history and perspective. Oh, it makes sense to have this statue of Christopher Columbus considering his history and everything else. Did all of this start bothering what are now the conservatives, the right wing in the United States? Over a long period of time, like, oh, are you guys restricting freedom of speech here? How come you can't talk about it? How come you can't have the statue of the general who fought for the Confederacy, right? Of the Confederates of the United States who were in the United States Civil War. So that's how it was. In this discussion, they used freedom of speech as an argument, but I think today the attack is more violent. What we once called canceling is now becoming more intense, right?
Where is the attack coming from and going to?
I think all the weapons that Trump has, for example, to impose when you block a reporter's access, what's the use of that reporter? What can that reporter do? What's the job? How does the broadcaster manage to tell this story? How does the broadcaster manage to sell its product? If they're not there on site, you keep attacking, you keep undermining. That's it. When you force the dismissal of one of your critics, you're not just complaining and putting on pressure. You're taking away from a canon, which is a broadcast network over there in the United States that still reaches millions and millions of homes. So I think it's a bit more targeted and violent, let's put it that way. In terms of eliminating getting out of the way and not just criticizing and putting pressure and waiting for someone to make the decision. It makes sense, right? I think that's the perception I have, in this comparison regarding freedom of speech. But the biggest problem there for me is that everyone says they want the same thing, which is the freedom to say whatever they want. But there's a lot of intolerance towards what's different, right? And that's happening, that's real. That worries me, for example, as the father of two 9.5-year-old kids, right? Why? Because my son understands things as good and bad, For example, he tells me, but this president is good, this president is bad. And what I try to tell him is, son, everyone does good and bad things, because I also don't want to impose my views on my son, right? Whether they're for or against any politician or party, whatever it is. Because later at school, there are kids who already go to school, 9-year-old children, defending one side or the other. So, I don't know if I want my son. I think it's better for him to understand that people aren't just right or wrong, good or bad, There are people doing good and bad things, and then over time he'll understand. They're still very young, but they're already being affected. That's why, little by little, he'll be able to better understand the seriousness of things, the depth of things, and then he'll be able to have his own opinions. If all goes well, the father will also be there to discuss and help. But for those who see it like this, and I feel that a lot of people, even in adulthood, see everything as just good or bad, as useful or not useful. And they're not seeing the degrees to which things can be.
It's a simplified way of thinking.
When we talk about gray, it's not just black and white exactly. There's gray, there are shades of gray. There are things for you to see in the middle of this whole discussion. It's not just a problem in the United States. Social media helped make this happen. It's a global problem that we're experiencing.
Sergio Patrick, host, reporter, and a few other things, also a musician, father. We've already talked about politics and didn't fight. We've already talked about sports and didn't fight. Now let's talk about religion.
Of course.
I have a photo here that I'd like you to tell me a little about.
Let me see. Look how cool.
You look good here, huh?
But it's because Leo makes everyone look good. You look good too with Leo working with us. Let me see.
You're watching Expeditions to the Sacred in Belgium.
Germany, we love small rivers,
When there's a little river, you stop.
Right? It looks nice, doesn't it? Look at that.
Where is this? You probably won't remember. So many beautiful views, right?
Yeah, give me a minute. I was wearing a scarf, see? Maybe it was cold here. This looks like Tournai, right? If I had to guess, it's Tournai in Belgium, the city of King Clovis.
What's up with King Clovis?
Clovis is the first king of France, according to many historians. He united the Frankish tribes there at the end of the 5th century. He was married to Queen Clotilde, who became Saint Clotilde. She was a great friend of Saint Genevieve, who is the patron saint of Paris. Tradition says Saint Genevieve saved Paris from a Viking siege through prayer. Clovis is the origin of the name Louis, which later became the prominent name Clovis.
Became Louis.
It's exactly because the V from Latin to French, Clouis, Clouis, Louis, look at that, and Clovis. He converted to Christianity because he attributed his victory to the prayers of his wife, Queen Clotilde, Saint Clotilde. In a war, in a battle he had there with the Franks, and then he converted. He was the first Christian king of the West. He was born in the city of Tournai, which today is in Belgium, but at the time was part of this Frankish kingdom, which he then unified. Reims is in northern France's Champagne region, the famous cathedral, correct? A wonderful cathedral. There's a plaque on the floor showing that Saint Remigius, who was Bishop Remigius of Reims at the time, baptized King Clovis here, and he then became the first Christian king of the West. And the consequence of that is huge, right? Because France became a fundamentally Christian country. The eldest sister, the eldest daughter, right? The eldest daughter of the Catholic Church, and a country that has its entire history. I think it's very much guided by the events in the life of King Clovis, a very important king.
Isn't it interesting that France's first saint king Clovis had a name that later became Louis?
Louis IX came about 500 to 700 years later, right? That's about it.
I think it's looking good here, huh?
Thank you, that's kind. I was in a good phase, I think.
You always dress up a lot for work.
I like it. I think we present ourselves there in front of the camera to talk to people.
Share some behind-the-scenes info. I like that. What do you do with your hair?
Here, first, there's a pomade to make your hair go the way you want, right? And then a spray that can handle any wind.
That's important, right?
It may not look like it, but he's in place there, steady. Yeah, there's a little bit of powder on his face too. My skin sometimes gets a bit red in some spots. The idea is not to distract, right? You're watching something and there's a red nose there. Sometimes you'll get more distracted by the red nose than paying attention to what's being said. So just even it out a bit.
You use makeup?
It's the powder. That's exactly what it's for. Shave beard, right? I've had times with a beard, but
I prefer without the beard.
yeah, I got some suggestions to shave it, so I did. That's it. A day of filming is waking up, shaving, taking a nice shower, fixing my hair, putting on makeup, spraying my hair, and always picking out an outfit, usually the day before. I usually have that kind of planned out, you know? Depending on the weather, we always try to pick things without stripes, without that. It's the same idea, right? So it doesn't draw too much attention or create bad effects on the image. And then, are you ready to deal with the cold while you're filming? Or a lot of heat? It's not good. It's not good. It gets in your way, right? So are you comfortable? Are you feeling good in those clothes? Or is your hair falling in your face all the time? You get distracted when telling a good story, so let's just focus, okay? Leave your hair alone.
I know, but I wanted you to tell everyone how it works. Do you write everything you say? Do you do research? How do you produce your texts?
Yes, I write everything I say, but I don't necessarily read everything I say, so what's the difference? I do research, I write in a way that's meant for me to speak. I don't write as if I were writing a book, for example, right? I write pra instead of para, you know? Small changes like that matter. But in many moments while recording, for example, I'll memorize the story that's in that paragraph I wrote and I'll tell that story the way it comes out of my mouth, out of my head. So I don't have anything written.
No teleprompter either. No.
Sometimes we use it, and sometimes I present the program, but not always for the report.
So you write, then improvise over what you wrote?
Yes, many times. One of the best parts of traveling with expeditions is unexpectedly discovering things and being surprised.
What surprised you? So?
Like that? Oh, wow. So many places you go into and you start. It's interesting how visiting these places more helps you learn their history and make connections. That's cool, right? See here, for example, this is Ray Clovis.
I talked about him in the other report.
We tell or show the story, or sometimes you'll read it there. Because one interesting thing is that there are some sacred places that have like amazing publicity, texts, images, identifications. You can get there totally prepared, and there are some that don't have that. So you discover more on filming day than during prep, right? And you end up sharing a lot spontaneously on the spot. It's really cool. It's really nice to arrive at a place like that. And I think it's really like that, seeing some works or seeing or being in front of something you've seen, for example. The research. We use the internet a lot, right? Naturally, you are. I'm in the United States and in New York, researching a place we're going to film in Belgium, in France. And then you're looking at the image there on the internet, and suddenly when you get there,
It wasn't quite like that.
either the thing is smaller or it's not but usually it's more beautiful, more impressive than you. Have you ever tried taking a photo of the moon with your phone?
No, it doesn't work.
It turns out weird, just a little thing. So like many times you try to take a picture of something magnificent, or there are things that move you just because of their importance, right? For example, what moved you? I remembered one, it was in Amiens.
I wanted to ask about Amiens because I'm jealous you went and I didn't.
That was your itinerary. It's just like us.
It's John the Baptist's head?
John the Baptist's head, exactly.
That's what you were going to talk about.
Well, the city is amazing. It's the city of Jules Verne, who's a really important writer, and of President Emmanuel Macron of France. It's important for its region in northern France and so on. There are little rivers and canals. It's kind of cute. I got there, we started recording, me and Leo, and then the church is monumental.
Leo's name. So the whole thing goes.
Leonardo Goncalves, our multi-editor cameraman, right? And it's really cool too, because he's a partner to share things like, hey, we're getting a lot done today, right? What did you think of this one? Did you like this story?
Things aren't going well today. Patricia. A lot.
You see your own reaction, right? For example, with Leo, when I record there and say, this turned out great, or this place is nice, you realize that you're telling stories there, that they're moving people. It's the first person in your audience, right, who's seeing that story. And then, so this church, they say that it is the one that fits.
So it's a basilica.
It's the Amiens Cathedral, so monumental it could fit Notre Dame de Paris inside. That's what they say about the space. It's already been threatened with collapse several times because of how it's built with those exterior arches, right? That's that Gothic technology, right? Medieval architecture making the arches on the outside.
To leave it empty on the inside.
Inside, the largest space possible. This cathedral is brilliant and wonderful, dating back centuries. And they kept building, tying everything together with metal on the outside so that church would stand. And it's actually very cold inside, so much stone and so much space. It's really different. You're outside with 18 degrees, you go in and it's about 14, you know? And then we went and filmed the whole video. The head of St. John the Baptist, correct? Attributed to him. There's a story from the Crusades that someone there supposedly brought this relic from somewhere.
Brought it from Jerusalem or the Holy Land.
Brought it from the Holy Land when he had to sell a part of it to finance his return. So it was a silver tray that had an inscription in Greek, right? It was St. John the Baptist and the skull, and then he had to sell the silver part to be able to finance his return. And when he arrived, he gave it to the Amiens Cathedral as a sign of gratitude and everything else. And for it to be worshipped there.
And it was there as the head.
It's not on display all the time. So there's also something about when we go to film, many times you're expecting one thing and there's something different, often beautiful things. So there are people singing in the church. There are kids playing soccer in the street. One day I wanted to play soccer with the kids in the street, but it didn't work out. And on that day, they leave a small piece of the bone, which is a first-class relic, exposed there. But there's a space where normally the skull stays during moments of celebration, and the skull isn't exposed. So then I went and started to ask to talk. Well, in the end, we got access. It's an operation that's nearly like a movie scene. 2 people from the church are required, not just one. You know when you turn one key here and another there, like in the name of the rose behind the altar on the way to the sacristy. And when you go in, it's a whole room full of relics. It's a treasure of the Amiens Cathedral. It's a shame that it's kept locked away in that room.
But when you arrived, the head was already there.
It was there, was it? That was chilling. No proof of what is that now?
What was your feeling?
It's impressive to imagine that that skull there is attributed to the man who baptized Jesus, that St. John the Baptist is the inspiration for this whole ritual that so many people around the world have already experienced. It's really powerful.
He had a beard.
No.
What is it?
There's some pieces. It's the tray has, so it has the shape of the eye. There's a hole here naturally like this, and then some metal parts. So there's some pieces of the skull. Let's put it that way, right? It's not the whole skull, so it's a tray, almost like a semicircle like this, where the piece of bone goes there. But it's from you. And again, it's good to have a partner and a witness there by your side. At the time I told her, I said, wow, I got goosebumps. That's what I felt. And she said, I felt it too. But he was dying to say something. He spoke. I wanted to press the camera button and leave, and they asked.
They said, what do you mean press and leave? You couldn't record?
You can't record in here? Oh, you didn't record? You tell the whole story you saw, but you won't leave it there. They offered, like, there are images of this. I mentioned it in the special, right? I left and said, look, I just left through this door. We went in and I explained what happened. Exactly like I'm telling you here. It's really impressive to see so much care, so much.
A secret was revealed.
A secret was revealed to you. People there don't have access. It was because I asked a lot. I went after it. I insisted. I explained. We talk about it a lot also because, look, the day we have to film is today, right? Tomorrow we'll be in another city, somewhere else.
In situations, it's one day, one place, right?
Exactly. We can't just stay. No. If tomorrow you talk to someone from Temam Tempo.
Tomorrow I'll be in Germany.
600 kilometers from here. And many times they understand. They're very kind there, but you could see it was also a process for them because it doesn't last. It's an isolated room. It's a room with super restricted access, so that's how we feel. Wow, I might be privileged, right? I was privileged and I have to share this. For those who follow expeditions, I want to share it. They went there with me, you know? They came in with us in some way, right? This one we can handle. Explain, tell exactly what happened, and that's the emotion of what's there, of these things. They are like this. They've been objects of pilgrimage for centuries and centuries. I always keep thinking, you know, because of the thousands and thousands of people who have already been there.
And didn't see.
Many slept in the church, some unaware, but I keep remembering how people, especially pilgrims, used to sleep in those huge churches. There wasn't this structure that exists today of tourism, and people would move around and sleep there. So, like, how much faith moved people. It's a beautiful thing, right? It's really, really cool.
You reminded me of two things I wanted to share. I felt something similar when I was in Paris, too. I tried to see the relics of Saint Catherine Labouré of the Miraculous Medal, and I managed to get the nuns to open the reliquary for me to show the reliquary where the heart of Caterina Labouré is kept. It was also the moment when I said, look, I'm having this unique opportunity, right? And a beautiful reliquary made of gold in a private chapel. The whole process of getting there, you feel like you're having a unique, exclusive moment, right? I was lucky that they let me film this time.
And I remember that when we prepared the script, this wasn't planned, right? Because this success isn't made public.
That's the reporter's role.
If he helps you.
Being tipped off by someone shows I have a heart. In such a place, you see a piece of information lost here, you go after it and find it, so those moments are incredible. I forgot what the second thing was that I was going to say.
I'm going to tell one story on top of another. There are magnificent places that you sometimes don't experience, great experiences, for example. Saint-Chapelle is one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen and among the most stunning in the world.
It wasn't a great experience.
No, why? For example, we did a special in 3 churches in Paris, which now I'll try to remember the names of. This one specifically, one was Saint Sulpice. I thought it was Sulpicio, but it's actually the name of the saint, the proper name. Supplicio, right? Wasn't it Supplicio then? The other one that surprised me is called Saint Gilles, Saint Lieu. It was a church, it's a religious church.
I found this report.
And I went in and there it was. It's a church that has relics of Saint Helena, so you have a Saint Helena there.
Mother of Constantine the Emperor.
Mother of Constantine and one of the key people for Christianity. Places in the Holy Land that were identified by her, like the Holy Sepulchre, for example. What I
was going to say is that it's the place that moves me the most, right? When we have those few seconds inside, it's really powerful, isn't it?
Then I get there first, and it's like those are human remains.
Which one are you talking about now?
In this little church in Paris, you're in the middle of Paris, in a little church that has the mortal remains of whom? Of Saint Helena.
Of St. Helena?
So, and there was a lady praying. It's a beautiful place under the altar like that, very closed off, candles and everything, very intimate. And there was a lady praying there. But like it was such a moment that obviously I waited for her to finish there, to conclude, right? But you feel the power of the moment there, you know? It was a lady alone in front of the relic of Saint Helena, having a very powerful moment there, praying and all. All these things that suddenly happen, you find yourself in a situation that moves you or surprises you. So there are many, many beautiful things there.
When you mentioned people sleeping in churches, I remembered something else I wanted to say about the effort they made to be there. I remembered an incredible story that I discovered while researching for the book. Aparecida, where the pilgrims used to sleep inside the chapel of Aparecida and would go on pilgrimages in secret when the priest went to sleep. And that's how the gesture of kissing the image of Our Lady of Aparecida was born. Oh, look at that. Because they kept kissing it and passing it to each other. And then I found a document that brought the prohibition of the kiss. The bishop said you can't kiss the saint anymore because it will get damaged. So it was through the prohibition that we found out. This happens a lot in research. There was this habit of sleeping inside the church, waiting for the priest to fall asleep and then doing the gesture that became the big trademark. Even the popes do this today, right? Lifting and kissing the image of Our Lady of Aparecida. I wanted to show you a picture here, so let's go. No, the word image just came out. I meant to say a photo.
Let's go.
Trips can be full of surprises, right?
Sometimes it's, oh, what a nice memory. Here is Orléans. You had crème brûlée here, but I didn't eat that dessert.
We were chasing. The story of Joan of Arc.
I was explaining why there's a city in the United States called New Orleans.
About Orleans, Braganza, and Montero.
It's about Brazil. Amazing, right? Every story is wonderful, and this church is beautiful. The story you shared is fantastic too, right? About Joan of Arc. It's a story that tells a lot about France, the country, by the way, with important female symbols, right? Which in many other places we haven't had for so long.
It's a wonderful statue in the center of the city of Joan of Arc, right?
Exactly. There are images of you in the special.
Guys, there's this image there.
There's a statue of her in Reims too, where I just mentioned, where King Clovis went. It showed in he was baptized there because that's where starting from King Clovis. Almost all the French kings after him were crowned there. And then when she, during the 100 Years' War, went to make sure the French king was crowned, she managed to take him there. So there's a picture of her pointing with her horse facing the cathedral there, making sure that France had its king crowned. So it's the whole story that connects together.
I'll share some behind-the-scenes details for those who followed that day's expeditions. This is where I recorded about Joan of Arc, and Patrick was there the whole time, right?
Yeah, I was there. I was writing other things, and I was helping however I could. Exactly. I drove the car too.
Maybe. I think so. You did drive, yes. You helped us save some time, since there were so many locations, parking, and you guys would record, and we would already be jumping out, exactly, recording in front.
That's it, there.
I have a few more pictures of you here, but they're just good career memories.
Seeing this here is, say it quickly.
About each one for me.
That's Dubai. This camera here is my partner.
You filmed in Dubai?
You are with me.
You went on expeditions in Dubai too.
Yes, I did one in Abu Dhabi, right? It's near Dubai and is a beautiful mosque. And this was coverage of a United Nations event, the United Nations Climate Summit, right? Here I was covering the hurricane when I lived in Miami. This must be my brother. I think he took this picture. It's family watching.
You were living in Miami when we met.
Yeah, it was around that time.
Around 5 years ago.
Covering, unfortunately, there's that side to it, but we're there for that. The strong wind kept knocking over the tripod during the hurricane, making it hard to stay focused.
Right.
You end up exposed there that
I know he's a coach, but not which one.
Tite coached Brazil in the 2018 and 2022 World Cups while also leading Corinthians.
On Radio Bandeirantes.
I was happy that I had the opportunity to receive a guest. Everyone wanted to have an exclusive chat like that. Of course, for me.
It was an exclusive chat with a highly sought-after guest. I have it too. Me too. And this one?
I participated in ESPN podcasts in New York after moving to the United States. This was my first job in English. So in the 2014 World Cup, I did a podcast.
I'm getting bombed in Gaza while you're having fun.
And talking about the World Cup, right? Working in English is challenging, right? I've thought about this since moving to the United States. We work with language, and Rodrigo is the same way. It's a skill we have to master, I think, right? For a journalist, you have to have complete command of the language, right? So I was always worried. I wondered how it would be. Will I ever be able to do in English what I do in Portuguese? Will I have that kind of confidence, that kind of mastery? Today I think I've overcome that barrier, and this was the first step in that journey. It was doing a podcast in English for the American audience that followed soccer, talking about the 2014 World Cup, so it was really cool.
So I want to propose another challenge to you.
So let's go?
Let's go to the second act of our podcast.
Let's go.
And in the second act, then, I'll introduce you there what the challenge is, okay?
So let's go. Deal. That's all there is. Wonderful. I didn't expect it, did I? No, it doesn't seem so.
You're looking at the Bible, right, sir?
I'm welcomed. You prefer this side. This is your mic. That one's mine.
This one is mine. And here I already wanted to propose the following to you. Let's completely change our topic. Let's go. Milton Nascimento says those who talk in the kitchen are family. Hey, I wanted to talk to you about family here.
About family.
Why did your move to the United States make you a father who does what many fathers don't do, the role of a mother? And was that difficult?
No, I just don't know if that's the case. I'm kind of biased when it comes to talking about mothers because I think they're amazing, and the most beautiful thing in the world is a mother's love. So I don't know if I got close. I think I've already done a lot, but it was like a natural thing, I wanted to. My connection with family turned this into something. Like when my wife got pregnant, we found out we were going to have twins. So for me, that was already the idea, right? The family is complete, and that made me very happy. I was really involved with what was happening there. I had no doubts. I had no worries about what my life would be like. I was happy. So when the kids were born, my wife tells this story that the first time a diaper needed to be changed at the hospital, I went there and she was like, "What do you mean?"
The first diaper, the first two actually, because they're twins, you were the one who changed them.
I'm not sure it was the first. Maybe they changed one in the nursery or something. But when the kids were with us, yes, I went there and changed my daughter Harper's diaper. I changed her diaper right there, and she was like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Oh, I don't even know, but it worked, We had done it. You learn a little beforehand like that." And it was never something that intimidated me, on the contrary. And then later, some things happened and situations came up, and I embraced the idea of pausing my career for a while to be a full-time father. And I even allowed my wife to keep developing her career. Because she, obviously, when I left Brazil and went to the United States, I didn't have the same opportunities as she did within an American company. Yes, she did, so it felt natural to me. I thought, I'll leave it. It was just bathing both little ones in the tub. It was changing a bunch of diapers every day anywhere, carrying one in the baby carrier here, the other in the stroller or a double stroller. I had a lot of adventures as a father of twins, and I still do, right?
Did you become a more feminine man?
I think so. Yes, I think so. In that sense, yes, like I told you, I think you get closer to that beautiful motherly love. The more we get involved and give up things, right? Because that's the reality, right? I think this happens much more to women all over the world than to men. having to give up a lot more things for the sake of this moment in life. So I think so.
Pepe Gomez said being feminine doesn't affect his masculine side.
Not at all. I think the world would be, modesty aside. I'm here talking about what happened in my life, right? But I think we would all be better off if everyone hugged more. There's no problem with that. It's not difficult at all.
Your daughter is named for a writer.
Harper, that's right. Harper Lee and Oliver, To Kill a Mockingbird, right?
Me, right? I'll look for it.
The movie is To Kill a Mockingbird. That's it.
In Portuguese, the book and movie.
It's a movie about racism in the United States.
And it was the only book that Harper Lee wrote.
She wrote a sequel released posthumously, right? Let me check the...
Sound a little more this way. Sure, look it up.
She wrote a sequel released posthumously, but I don't...
Trust that sequel?
No.
I've been reading both the sequel and the comments. That there's a possibility this is something from the editor, that it's even a draft of To Kill a Mockingbird itself. I'm not an expert on Harper Lee, but anyway, she's an author of a single great work. Yes, exactly. Why did it affect you enough to name your daughter after her?
Well, naturally, the name itself, the sound of the name, the beauty of the name. I think that, we had lists, right? My wife and I. One of the fun things during the pregnancy was spending every weekend doing that. I think we would make a list, add some names, remove others. So Oliver and Olivia, we've always liked those.
She could have been Olivia.
So yes, we had Oliver and Olivia. So, if we had a boy's name that we liked more, that we felt more connected to, then the girl would be Olivia, and the boy's name would be different. But we never found a boy's name that we liked as much as Harper. And then this book. My mother-in-law really likes this book. My mother-in-law is from the southern United States, so it was one of the first books I read after I moved to the United States. So, as I said, the sound of the name also influenced us, and we ended up choosing that it would be Harper, but it really comes from Harper Lee. And Oliver, no, there's no tribute or inspiration, not Oliver Stone, it's just the sound. We always thought it was cool. Then they ask us to explain why, right? And we...
Oh, your children?
Are they waiting? He researched and said, for them, it's Oliver. It's from the olive branch of peace. The meaning goes along those lines, and Harper is the angel who plays the harp, right? So it comes from that. Both have a meaning. Each one got a cute explanation for the name we chose.
I got to know Harper Lee even more by watching the movie about Capote because she supported him in writing in cold blood. She traveled with him then to help with his book, and only later wrote her own. It was especially meaningful to me since both are great writers working together. And she played a fundamental role in the whole investigation, right? Which led to that book that became a movie later, which is a masterpiece.
It's incredible.
Including literature and journalism.
Right? It's exactly a more sophisticated way of telling the story, right? I think after that, things changed. The audience wouldn't accept anything that didn't have it anymore. Of course, it's hard to reach that level of quality, but I think taking a long time to write the book inspired a lot of people to write afterward. Literary journalism, exactly, journalism with that touch of refinement, right?
Movie journalism, how was it?
New journalism, right?
That was later, right? Wasn't it? What's his name, Gail? Talent is talent. But he had a name I can't recall, which described it as journalistic fiction or journalism fic. He coined a term for it. It's a book about everything that happened, but told in a fictional way, as if it were fiction, which is brilliant, right?
Today we have, if you look at some series nowadays, that's what they are, right? They create, and I'm usually in them. I really like books like that. I've been reading, for example, a series about, well, it's because of the trips I take for the expeditions, right? Medieval France and so on. Now that I realize the theme I just want to read, that's the story structure. That's what happened. So when the Crusaders were eliminated, and then there was what was called a curse, several kings in a row died quickly, French and so on. And then what the writer did, a series from the 60s, if I'm not mistaken, was to go there and write the stories, the dialogues, and everything else as a basis, right? So I think that's wonderful, obviously, because it was also done with a lot of quality, right?
What do you want to drink? Patrick, I have water here, I have juice, there's wine, there's beer.
Want a beer? Up to you. Let's have one. There's the...
Whatever you want.
I'm in.
I hope there's a water fountain here, but there will be. Is it this one? Someone said I drank it, but I didn't. Is it good? Yeah. Man, you really take care of your kids as a father. You have to know how to cook.
Yeah. From the basics, from everything.
No.
The basics.
What do you cook best?
Pasta, eggs, American things, right? Yeah, that's fine.
American, what else?
Just pasta and eggs, right? That's what I like most and know how to make. There are different types of bless you, bless you. This purple ball is delicious.
We've been doing here.
Cheese here? It's good, right? Sorry to interrupt. It's a challenge. You lived in France and you don't...
Cheese at France level, France level.
This here is just too good. In Brazil, it's amazing, right?
If a Brazilian wants to do it right, he does.
Today, you know what's curious about my wife? She's an American raised in the... You mean basic American cheese?
Is yellow cheddar the most basic cheese?
Yes, yellow cheddar, exactly. And she admits it. She says she's not into fancy cheeses and hasn't developed a taste for them. Today there was a Minas cheese where we're staying in Sao Paulo, yellowish, that slightly aged one. It's barely processed, almost not at all, you know? She tried it and loved it.
Oh, she didn't like it before.
She wouldn't try it before, but that's how it is. Brazil really has something wonderful, right? Try this one, I'll try it.
It's a challenge. What I've been doing with the guests here is this. In your case, everyone has a different situation. You're on a news assignment. You're covering a war. You're hungry. You can't get to the food. All you have is an egg, just one. What about your surroundings? What do you do with it?
What do I do with it?
You have a pot, you have a stove.
Do you want me to tell or show you?
Show you.
Then let's go. Where do I start? Here.
Wherever you want. Here's the thing, I want to know how you're going to handle it, but there's a detail, man.
Say it.
I won't call you here, okay? You need to use plenty of butter or olive oil so it doesn't... Yeah, all right.
You can put it all in, don't think it's too much.
You can't put it all in. Are you listening?
It's playing, are you listening?
Whenever we try to make the egg, it keeps playing non-stop.
Is it only the egg or does this happen every time? Do you want me to get it?
Man, let me answer it for a bit.
Okay, relax, calm down, hello?
Go there. From the radio that, you guys are listening to. For you to do a live narration, for you to narrate what you're doing, that's it. No, that's it.
It's not.
You're supposed to narrate while you make the egg. You can't leave empty space or the audience will leave.
All right.
When does he start? Now? All right, thank you. That's the life of a journalist. You have to go live now.
The butter starts melting, the butter moves from one side of the pan to the other, the pan gradually gets hot, it needs a little more heat. Rodrigo, let's go here. Good now. Look at that. Now it's reaching the right temperature.
I set it to 5.
Hotter. There's lots of butter in the pan. We know this egg has been a champion several times. Oh yeah, it's from several competitions and has already won titles. It's going to break the record, and when it breaks the record in here, it's going to be a total success. There's no doubt about it. This spatula is a spatula that has never been used in any other competition. For the first time, you can already see that the butter is going. Yeah.
Let me see here. Aren't you narrating? Yeah, no.
It's not good, right? I used to be better at this.
They're telling you to narrate because of the audience.
But narrate the egg,
Narrate this moment, you can say whatever he wants.
and the butter can say whatever you want.
It's not from the egg, no? Oh, I see.
You're stalling the show.
Stop making noise and don't call again. Leave us alone.
I'm going. Leave the butter when the butter heats up. Then I'll narrate the egg. Oh yeah, you're stalling a bit, I will. It'll just be the moment. It's just a short challenge, you know? Yeah, frying the egg is a quick challenge.
I'll have another piece of bread.
Want bread? Have more cheese?
I haven't tried this yet.
No, I tried this one too. This thing about eggs are a big deal in the United States, right? Why?
First, because they're really expensive, right?
It became the measure of inflation because people eat so much of it, like rice and beans in Brazil. Egg prices determine many things there.
There was an avian team that killed hundreds of thousands of birds. It appeared here too, but ended quickly and never really took off. But prices increased everywhere.
And everything that has an impact, obviously, right? Transportation, the supply chain, and everything else, it changes the price of eggs. There, I'll also narrate the egg cooking.
So go ahead. Do it. When you're doing it, narrate, so that's fine. You don't just narrate anything.
Not just anything like that. Today, I'm going to find a guru jumping rope.
You're not able to narrate.
I'm going to narrate, of course, a sack race.
You narrate, then narrate your own egg.
Need some inspiration now, huh? That one got me.
We're live here with Rodrigo Alvarez. The show is about to start. He's going to tell us everything about the egg recipe. Rodrigo Alvarez.
It's decision day. The egg is going to fry. The butter is already hot. The pan is red, covered in melted butter. It's really hot now. I can even lower the temperature a bit. Yeah, lower it. The chef is about to crack the egg. It's in his hands as he taps it once, then twice. The shell is already cracked. Here comes the egg. The egg is falling. It's already in with the yolk broken. It's in the shape of a heart. You can already see the white of the egg. It's cooking really fast. Where's the salt? Where's the salt?
The salt is here.
My friend, you just have to turn it. The salt will come out. And this is one of the most complicated recipes made in recent times. Let's go.
Sponsored by American Eggs.
Let's add just a little bit of this pepper.
This pepper is going to fall. It's going to make the egg spectacular. The pepper fell. The egg is open. There's a lot of white. There's also the yellow from the yolk, already cooking with plenty of butter in the pan. I sound like a rodeo announcer. Here comes the egg. It's not burning. No, it's turning out great. Now the heat is too low. Turn the heat up again so the egg starts to burn. I have to wash my hand. Attention to the audience. The public wants to know what kind of egg this is. Sergio Patrick, is this a yellow or brown egg that you brought here? I think that's what it is, but the public wants to know what kind of dish you're making. This is Patrick's egg. There's no other like it. This is the egg with pepper and salt. I burned my finger on this recipe. It's a super sophisticated recipe. The egg is getting more and more ready. You can use bread. If you can use cheese, I'm going to use cheese. The cheese will go well. He wants to use the cheese. Attention, entering the field is the cheese. Sergio Patrick, the yellow cheese is getting ready. He's gonna give a special touch to this egg. It's gonna be an amazing recipe, never done before, a super sophisticated egg. With the shell, no, right? Are you falling or following the shell? I'm just watching the show, so let's go. The shell fell too. No one will want to eat this egg, then we won't eat it, right? Of course we're going to eat it. It's getting ready. Usually it's faster than my kids. No, no, it's fine. It's great. They don't give me time. But here I have all the time in the world. The egg is turning into scrambled eggs now because with the cheese melting and the little pepper, you're going to like it. You're going to like it. Soon it will be the egg's goal. But I won't be able to touch this pan again, so what do? Grab a cloth here, it's hot, here you go, use this, now you have a cloth. You can turn it off, go ahead and try it. Look, the egg, let's split it nicely on the plates, put a little for me and a little for you. It's a specialty of American cuisine. Don't put anything on top. No, you don't need to add anything on top. You can just have it with some bread. And that's it. Look at that. Look how wonderful it is. And with the narration of the egg, still, things I never thought I would do in my life is narration. Rodrigo Alvarez, that's right. But it looks nice here. There's some melted cheese. So tell me now, do your kids like your food? Do they? Do they like barbecue? You don't make it, do you? In the United States, haven't they said I don't make it because I'm afraid? They've already complained that I make too much pasta, right? They've told me that. But I need to tilt it a bit more my way, right? Nothing like someone from the radio, right? Not to direct it at me, right? But I insist, right? I keep doing it. But then they complain that you don't do other things. That's your thoughtful carnival, Dad. Do it again, but it turned out horribly. Still, it's great. I'm not going to say it's the best egg ever made in this same pan, but still. But it's a good egg. It's a good egg, so it's a stylish egg. I was happy. The narration was just that. I was distracted making the egg. Besides me, right? I want to be clear that preparation is essential for the narrator. Like knowing the game, knowing the players, getting into the vibe. Arriving early? Here, there's no preparation at all, just living it. You didn't study anything about eggs. So in the game, here, it really shows that, like you just turn on the microphone and start, even if you or the guy have nothing to say. Deep down, it's a big report, right? You're telling it, you're reporting what's happening for several minutes, so you need to have that. I joked here with Eseovo, he's already been a champion. It's a resource we have when you're getting to know the story. It's when you're narrating and nothing is happening, nothing at all. You look for some information, you reach out to someone, you do that, right? So yeah, it's that kind of preparation. Today it must be on tablets, on everyone's computers. But when I started, we did it on little pieces of paper, really, in a notebook, you know, a card. What should I know about this game, player, and coach? Typically, you do some research, like for a soccer game. You research all the players, the coaches, then the recent history of each team, the most important things in each team's history. We already know a lot, right? For example, if I'm commentating a Fluminense game, I know plenty about Fluminense's and Palmeiras' histories. It's helpful to have it on hand, since relying only on memory isn't always enough.
Americans use statistics to fill gaps. They just throw out stats for everything. It's even a strategy, right? Yeah.
Many times it's not even the announcer who puts it on the air. You have a team that does it. And then, when the announcer sees it on the air, he comments on it. I see, I see.
Of course, the announcer is there because he's the last one, the tip of the spear. Of that big machine that's working.
The whole team, exactly. And then, like, by surprise. That's really very difficult. Preparation is crucial, right? Doing research and immersing yourself in the environment. That's also why we talk a lot about on-site narration. And the narration, when you have to do it from the studio, which sometimes happens.
What's it called? Remote commentary, right?
It's off-tube, right? Off-tube, And there are people who do it really well, obviously, and sometimes it's necessary, but it's not ideal.
It turned out really good.
This little pepper is good, huh?
Good cheese, excellent.
Yeah, you lose an element when you're not on the field, which naturally raises your energy, you know? You must have noticed, even in news coverage, when a reporter speaks from the street and is actually there, you know? The reporter's voice energy changes. I don't know.
I know. For me, even the posture changes. That's why the idea here was let's talk sitting, standing, and soon we'll talk lying down. Uh-huh. Because when you're standing, you have one way of thinking about it. Sitting is another. Uh-huh. And lying down is different. You think about different things. That's what's happening. We changed the subject.
Some people narrate while standing, not sitting.
They narrate standing up.
Yeah, but I like narrating while standing.
He likes to narrate sitting down.
It's been a while since I last narrated, right? But yeah, I think sitting down, the last few times I did it in Miami, I even narrated some games in English there in Miami. Yeah, I narrated some games in English and most of them in Portuguese. But sitting down because, you know, I don't have the talent of the great commentators, so I won't even dare, but yeah, it's something. This is incredible in Brazil and recognized worldwide. The Brazilian commentary, the shout of,
is known as good. Many people noticed the soccer game commentary was terrible, too slow and overly paused.
or the goal celebration didn't have that Brazilian excitement. It's really cool, even brought into other sports. For example, we have it in American football, for example, when there's a spectacular play. Usually on social media, they use the Brazilian commentary because the Brazilian commentator brings that from soccer, which actually came from horse racing, you know. The rhythm of soccer radio commentary comes from horse racing. And then with the rising tone to tell people what's happening, right? He's passing, overtaking, getting to the end and all that, but not stopping talking about it. If I'm not mistaken, Nicolau Tuma was the great exponent a long time ago, about 100 years ago. Then that goes to the radio and soccer.
I recall some early soccer commentaries took place atop a chicken coop in Laranjeiras. There are legendary stories like that, right? A commentator once narrated a game assuming the teams were reversed since he didn't know either one. I just think it ended in a tie.
And shocks from the equipment too, because everything was cables, right? Huge cables.
You realize that he was a sports radio reporter and he used to get shocked a lot.
We used to get shocked. Early in my career, I used an old microphone that would shock you, especially if it rained at certain places.
You'd get shocked even more.
If it rained, it was dangerous, right? I have a friend who was near a lightning strike, got affected, and had to go to the hospital. Exactly. He took a heavy shock.
You're smelling something different. It's not from your egg, but there's already a smell coming from over there. Look.
I can smell it. Yes, it's interesting.
You can identify it?
Can't you? You're going to have to...
Incense, help me out. You visit many churches. Have you ever smelled lots of incense with Mir Aham? The incense calls us to the third act. So let's go. Man, I didn't have these shoes for you to be at home as always, like you would be in any of my houses.
These shoes, man, these socks are for expeditions. Show them off.
Take out the insole. There you go. Look for the microphone too. What we proposed is this. Here is a place where the idea is not to look at each other. The idea is to look inside ourselves, not outside. So it's really about you lying down. If you want to close your eyes, you can. I have my eyes closed.
Uh-huh.
I wanted to share some thoughts with you, but I was going to start with a reflection on friendship. I rarely have a friend on the show. And our story is a story of friendship.
Right?
We met, a friend introduced us. I still remember it to this day. We met, we were in front of a cafe.
That's right. In Wynwood, that arts district in Miami, right? Uh-huh, that's right. It was cold in Miami. It happened to be January. That's a rare thing, right?
And we quickly built a relationship that quickly turned into a friendship, which went to music, which went to tennis, and then went to work.
That's true.
But friendship is something I find increasingly difficult to build. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. How is it with these new times, this divided world, this world of cell phones? How is it? How do you build and maintain friendships when you're living so far away?
It's something, I agree with you, it's something like the physical distance, right? It doesn't help much to cultivate. You need to make a real effort, right? I think you, as a friend, really deserve credit. You're a guy who makes an effort. You have an energy for making things happen, right? That really helps. And I try to do that too, whenever possible. Always. It doesn't need to be a birthday or any special occasion to reach out. Anyway, sometimes it's just a chat, it's the time you have, it's what you can do, right? If you can't talk for 10 minutes, talk for 5, right? But talk, get in touch, and we have a lot of fun, right? With what you have available today, and many times people really put that aside, which is nurturing friendships. It's not just in many moments of life you bump into people, right? You're always around people, whether it's at school, in college, at work, when you're going to work and so on. From a certain point in life, you start to have less of this exposure, right? So what now? You have to practice throughout your life, make these connections, keep these connections to keep your relationships active and healthy, right? So I think that's really important, the distance. What I do is like this. First, I always try to keep in mind the next time, the next in-person meeting, right? The next visit, that helps me a lot. I already leave it, you know? My mind keeps thinking about when the next time will be that I'll go, that I'll meet people. I already tell my friends, I already try to leave things kind of planned. And then, you know, really try to make use of everything that technology offers us today, right? That the people who are my friends, even if they're far away, are part of my life and understand what's going on. I share my things, I reach out, I talk, and in the same way, when they reach out and share, I try to always be available for that. So using technology in that sense. Sometimes we know a lot about a friend's life because we're following them on social media, right? Oh, I saw that you took your son out, that you did.
So you post your personal life?
I don't post much, I'm guilty of that, but I often consume information from my friends.
Is it important to share your private life with friends?
Maybe I've learned something now that I need to post a little more so people can also know what's going on in my life. But I don't really feel motivated, to be honest. It's not something that comes naturally to me. So I like, for example, to use my social media to talk about things I'm doing professionally. I like that. When we have a new show, when we have a trip, I like it. But other than that, I tend to be a bit quieter. But maybe you've helped me realize that I need to share a little more of my life so people can know. See?
Your father's death affected you, didn't it?
A lot. A lot. Difficult, right? I was far away and knew when I last saw him that I came to Brazil to be with him. I had a feeling there was a good chance it would be the last time, but I was planning an idea for Brazil, you know? I was renewing my children's passports, so it gave me this feeling like, man, if I had hurried up with these things, you know? I passed away at the end of October and I was planning to go in November during the Thanksgiving holiday, right? The Thanksgiving in the United States. I knew my children would be in school every day, you know? But it's that thing just to have a few more days, you know? So in the end, when you have a little time to think things over and all that, life was more than that, being with him, you know? Everything that was good about being with him, about having Senior Jamil as a father. But some days obviously could have been much better, but overall the balance is very positive. So today I feel calmer about that.
And regarding your mother, how are you feeling?
It's not easy, is it? There are moments when I'm more like in the rational part, understanding that she's getting older, it's part of life and all that. Sometimes I just want a hug from my mom, doesn't everyone? I think it's one of some of the sweetest things in life, right? Like a mother's hug. And it's missed, it's really missed. And I just want her to be okay, that the way she is now, at least she stays well. As long as she can stay here.
In this more reflective moment of ours, here I have a deck of cards that's here that has 10 questions. And I'd like to suggest you pick one to answer. Are you up for it? If you want to answer all 10.
I'm at your service.
So pick one of the cards here. Let's see which one you'll get.
This one hiding must be dumb. Want to see? Go ahead.
Here, you read it.
I'm the one who reads. Switch roles, ask whatever you want. No.
Not this one. Switch roles and ask anything, Patrick. I got screwed, huh?
There's a lot going on. Let's play guitar. Hold on, I have a question to ask here. It's written here. Do you want to put it together with the...
You got it right here. I hit it.
I'm going to ask you, since we're talking about my life, I want you to tell me how it is. What surprised you about me?
I can't say it surprised me because I didn't have any expectations. I was meeting someone I didn't know. And that's it, right? Just our mutual friend, Tiago.
Yeah.
Tiago said, look, he's a really cool guy. You'll enjoy meeting him. And I believe Tiago because I like him a lot.
Rodrigo is a writer. You want to? I was.
You want to write?
Wanting to write? Yeah. Are you still on the computer?
Hey. I got there, met you, and said, man, this guy is cool. But this thing builds up over time. It's not in the first minute.
Right, but like...
The first thing, I think there's a path, there's a direction.
I remember there's something interesting, right, about the music thing, is the guitar like this here. You asked about my dad, and it's really funny. I remember you said you liked George Harrison. I heard it on your phone, I don't know, something like that. And that already tells me something about the person, you know what I mean?
What does it tell you to know about?
I thought a guy like that it wasn't obvious that he was like that. He liked something popular like the Beatles, but with a certain depth. I found it interesting, maybe the most spiritual, maybe something more mystical and spiritual, exactly. So those things, obviously, all of this is based on cliche and stereotype about you.
But that you were gathering.
For example, my relationship with my father, you keep gathering. There are moments, some of the strongest moments I have to remember him are with music, right? My relationship with my brothers is music. Music brought us very close very quickly. Music brought us together. Exactly. That's where I was going. That's what I was getting at, right? I think music, for me, sums up a lot of things in my life, you know? Moments that I relate to music, friendships built or shared interests. Even now when I visit São Paulo, some friends and I still get together to play and make some noise. And for me, so I think doing a little bit of that with my kids is also nice.
To answer, because I didn't answer the end of your question, so with this connection that happened, not just at the first meeting, I realized that you had something that's rare and that I value a lot, which are values. That we shared values and saw we value the most important things in life similarly, which brought us closer. I think that a friendship depends on a few things. Either you have memories in common and then it's very easy. Oh, remember when we were 7 years old, how cool that was?
We grew up together.
That's automatic. That's a friendship that comes easy. The other is when you have shared values. Look, when we talk about family, we have something similar. We have a similar attitude of respecting others, of caring about others, right?
That's it.
of dedicating ourselves to others too, not just ourselves. So I started noticing that in you, and that quickly brought us closer. But it helps too, right? Tennis, music, journalism, we had a lot in common.
Exactly. That's how it began, and then we started making memories together, right?
The two good-looking guys, right?
I'm just kidding, weren't they? They were good moments, and then you move on. The values also go along with the moments. Everything gets stronger, right?
Here's the thing, it wasn't planned since there's no note, but you mentioned it. Let's wrap up with George Harrison. Any suggestions?
I was going to play but got distracted, so go ahead with your choice.
Look,
Let's see. You're going to be him?
sit however you'd like, it'll look better.
So let's go.
What's the song going to be?
Slip sliding away, other.
Other.
Slip sliding away, slip sliding away. You know, the nearer destination, the more you slip sliding away, slip sliding away.
Know the closest destination?
The more you slip sliding away. Amen.
It's very New York. This song,
Very, very. I always think of Paul Simon, part of my childhood. The Central Park concert was one of the albums I listened to the most with my dad and my brother, so I've always liked it. Like that. My throat is kind of irritated, you know, but I like to sing. This one is just too good.
Sergio Patrick, my brother.
Thank you, my friend.
It was a joy to hear your story. Many things I didn't know.
Should I tell you more?
Thank you. Come again.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Thanks. See you next time. Thanks.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's hope our next expedition is soon.
That's it. We already have to travel.
Bye. And then